Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So my voice is a little rough, and it was in the last video too, but I'll talk about that in just a minute. So spring has officially arrived, and I have been thoroughly enjoying the beautiful weather and having the opportunity to get out in the garden. I've begun sprucing up all of the beds, adding in some compost, getting all the beds ready for the growing season. And of course, little Miss Bean has absolutely been loving it as well. That little girl seems to love going out there in the garden just as much as her Oma does. So out there in the garden, I noticed all sorts of things coming back from last year. Of course, you've got asparagus coming up. It's its second year, so I still won't harvest any this year. You're always supposed to allow a couple of years for asparagus to get fully established in their beds before you begin harvesting any of it. I believe the standard is about 2 years, but how long you actually end up waiting probably depends on whether you start from seeds or if you start from crowns, the clusters of root systems that you can get as well. There's a couple of heads of cabbage still out there in the garden from fall. Really only one of them looks like it's going to produce anything. To be honest, the rest of the plants that we had out there got completely frozen and didn't survive. I was surprised any did, to tell you the truth. But there's herbs coming up, some marjoram and thyme. There's still some sage out there, of course. And then there's little bitty baby elderberry plants that are coming up. I also noticed that the hyssop that I planted last year is coming back, and a couple other things that I don't remember what they were. So with the coming along of the warmer weather, it was time to get out there and clean out the greenhouse. And cleaning out the greenhouse is why I sound the way I do. So years ago, I used to have horrible seasonal allergies. And I would end up being miserably sick for about 3 months every spring. And then in the fall, I would be sick for about 3 months in the fall with different types of allergies. And that was mainly when we lived in North Carolina that it was that bad. But when I started changing the way our household ate and cutting out all of the refined foods and, cutting back on all the sugar, getting rid of all the processed stuff and cooking generally from scratch as much as possible, it took the 3 months of miserable sickness in the spring and turned it into about 3 days where I just was sneezing nonstop and all of that. And, you know, the 3 months of sickness was when I was on prescription medications. I had an inhaler. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Now, I am very sensitive to chemicals and things in the air. And with all of those years of just the constant sickness and allergies and bronchitis and all that stuff, anytime I'm exposed to things like chemicals or anything like that, it will often trigger a bronchial response in me. And when we were cleaning out, or when I was cleaning out the greenhouse, I was exposed to a lot of that. You see, whoever built the greenhouse out here utilized a spot and that was probably convenient and built the greenhouse up against the side of the house itself. Well, what wasn't so convenient for me is that the dryer vents into the greenhouse. And, you know, we have not just Mr. Smith and I here who do laundry in there. And traditional laundry detergent contains a lot of really nasty chemicals. And so, of course, the dryer vent fluff and fuzz and all that stuff has all those chemicals in there. And so when I was in there cleaning out the greenhouse, I stirred up a bunch of this dust and started hacking when I was in there. And it ended up triggering probably the worst allergy attack that I've had in many years, which is why I sound the way I do. Now, last week, well, about a week or so ago, I went on a trip to Oklahoma to the Okie Homesteading Expo. And this is the first time that I attended this event. And it's very similar to Homesteaders of America, which is in Virginia. It's not quite as big of an event, but there was so much going on there. And I had a really great time, and I was so happy to get the opportunity to see my friend Anna from the Fermented Homestead again. It had been about 1.5 years since I had seen her, and so it was really nice to be able to spend some time with her, and of course to meet some of y'all there. Really, that's one of my favorite parts of going to these events, is getting to meet some of you guys. But I will say that there was one other person that I got to meet there at the event who I had never met before, though I had heard of this man for years because I had been using something that he created ever since we started our homestead in Alabama. The Clyde.
My name is Clyde, and I've developed a really handy slide chart for vegetable gardeners. Let me show you how it works, okay? It has a sliding frost line and a horizontal calendar. And what you do is you slide it to your local frost date wherever you live. If you're up in Wisconsin, it's June. If you're down in Louisiana, it's February. I'm setting it here for April 15th, very easy to remember, tax day. Once it's in place, each column is a week, and it gives you the first outdoor planting week for each garden vegetable, beginning with the early things like onion sets and peas and spinach they plant ahead of the frost, but waiting on the tender items like peppers and tomatoes until after the danger of frost is past. It also gives you the indoor seeding dates so you can grow some flats on your own. You know, it's pretty expensive to get some seedlings nowadays. The check marks give you the expected harvest dates, and see there's a little legend down below. And it's really nice because it's a time phase plan and you just work it from left to right. Pull it open and it gives you the seeds per 10-foot row, the planting depth, the distance between rows, the distance between plants after thinning, the sunlight requirements, the minimum soil temperature. Just get a cheap thermometer and check your soil and make sure that you're not putting your seeds out too early. That's the minimum soil temperature for germination. The expected yield, like how many pounds of green beans do I get from a 10-foot row, and that's for planning ahead. How much do we want to plant here? How many rows? Then the natural companions for companion planting. This is the spring side of the chart. You flip it over and slide it to your fall frost date, and it gives you the last planting week to have a nice fall garden. The chart comes with instructions, written instructions, okay, with the frost dates for the United States and Canada, okay. It also has a video demo, and you go to the QR code and you'll see the video demo. You can have a cup of coffee and be reminded how to use the chart. I was just trying to develop my own tool for our own family and working around my wife's pregnancy, and then it occurred to me that if my chart would slide, it could be used all over, and that was 500,000 charts ago. So lots of people are using them, and I hope that your crowd can enjoy using them also.
Absolutely, thank you. So Clyde's Garden Planner is a tool, a very inexpensive tool that I have recommended to people for years. If you are new to gardening, or even if you're not new to gardening, it is such a great tool for figuring out when to start things, when to plant things, not just for spring, but also for a fall garden. And I've had it listed in my Amazon shop ever since I set that thing up. But Mr. Clyde was so kind, and he actually donated 3 of his planners for you guys. So if any of you would like to win one of his planners, just leave a comment down below and let me know that you would like to be entered. And then in my Wednesday video, I'll announce the winners. Of course, this isn't sponsored by YouTube, has nothing to do with them, yada, yada, yada. I'll put all of the rules in the video description down below that YouTube requires us to include. And speaking of giveaways, just a quick reminder that the March Canning Madness is about to come to an end. Now, I do have some more canning videos that I didn't get to this month that will be coming in the next few weeks, but they won't be officially part of March Canning Madness. If you have missed any of this, there is a playlist. You can find it in the video description down below. Every time you leave a comment on one of the March Canning Madness 2025 videos, it is an entry to win your very own steam canner. And I had also updated my blog post with all of the details and offered that if the creator who wins their portion of the giveaway, they have the choice between the cases, canning jars, and labels, or if they want, they could get a steam canner instead. So that is wrapping up here in the next few days, and the winner for that will be announced in a standalone video, or the winners will be announced in a standalone video. So be on the lookout for that. And if you haven't watched all the videos and left comments, check out that playlist down below and get to watching. So I am going to get back to my ironing. Thank you for joining me here again at the homestead. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. God bless, and I'll talk to y'all next time.
Excuse me, this is not your house. You need to get out. Milk Dud needs to go to bed. Come on. You need to get out.